race and equity and decency across this country. And I said it back in May that we're not going to get another chance to do this. This is our moment. And for those of you who have seen Minnesota, and as the governor of Minnesota, it breaks my heart, but my pledge is to make it better. This is a great state with great people, and it's now our time to show that means every single person. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my friend and someone we look to lead on these issues, someone who's been there every step of the way.
All right, you've been listening to Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz deliver remarks. We want to take you right now to the White House, where President Biden is speaking following the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial. There you see Vice President Harris. Let's listen in.
It cannot take away the pain. A measure of justice isn't the same as equal justice. This verdict brings us a step closer, and the fact is, we still have work to do. We still must reform the system. Last summer, together with Senator Cory Booker and Representative Karen Bass, I introduced the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. This bill would hold law enforcement accountable and help build trust between law enforcement and our communities. This bill is part of George Floyd's legacy. The President and I will continue to urge the Senate to pass this legislation, not as a panacea for every problem, but as a start. This work is long overdue. America has a long history of systemic racism. Black Americans, and Black men in particular, have been treated throughout the course of our history as less than human. Black men are fathers and brothers and sons and uncles and grandfathers and friends and neighbors. Their lives must be valued in our education system, in our healthcare system, in our housing system, in our economic system, in our criminal justice system, in our nation. Full stop. Because of smartphones, so many Americans have now seen the racial injustice that Black Americans have known for generations. The racial injustice that we have fought for generations, that my parents protested in the 1960s, that millions of us, Americans of every race, protested last summer. Here's the truth about racial injustice. It is not just a Black America problem or a people of color problem. It is a problem for every American. It is keeping us from fulfilling the promise of liberty and justice for all. And it is holding our nation back from realizing our full potential. We are all a part of George Floyd's legacy, and our job now is to honor it and to honor him. Thank you. And now it is my great honor to introduce the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Today, a jury in Minnesota found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts in the murder of George Floyd last May. It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see. The systemic racism the Vice President just referred to. The systemic racism is a stain on our nation's soul. The knee on the neck of justice for Black Americans. Profound fear and trauma. The pain, the exhaustion that Black and brown Americans experience every single day. The murder of George Floyd launched a summer of protest we hadn't seen since the civil rights era in the 60s. Protests that unified people of every race and generation in peace and with purpose to say enough, enough, enough of this senseless killings. Today's verdict is a step forward. I just spoke with the governor of Minnesota, who thanked me for the close work with his team. I also spoke with George Floyd's family again. A remarkable family of extraordinary courage. Nothing can ever bring their brother, their father back. But this can be a giant step forward in the march toward justice in America. Let's also be clear that such a verdict is also much too rare. For so many people, it seems like it took a unique and extraordinary convergence of factors. A brave young woman with a smartphone camera, a crowd that was traumatized witnesses, a murder that lasts almost 10 minutes in broad daylight for ultimately the whole world to see. Officers standing up and testifying against a fellow officer instead of just closing ranks, which should be commended. A jury who heard the evidence, carried out their civic duty in the midst of an extraordinary moment, under extraordinary pressure. For so many, it feels like it took all of that for the judicial system to deliver a just basic accountability. We saw how traumatic and exhausting just watching the trial was for so many people. Think about it, those of you who are listening. Think about how traumatic it was for you. You weren't there. You didn't know any of the people. But it was difficult, especially for the witnesses who had to relive that day. It's a trauma. On top of the fear so many people of color live with every day when they go to sleep at night and pray for the safety of themselves and their loved ones. Again, as we saw in this trial from the fellow police officers who testified, most men and women who wear the badge serve their communities honorably. But those few who fail to meet that standard must be held accountable, and they were today. One was. No one should be above the law. And today's verdict sends that message. But it's not enough. We can't stop here. In order to deliver real change and reform, we can and we must do more to reduce the likelihood that tragedies like this will ever happen and occur again. To ensure that Black and brown people, or anyone, so they don't fear the interactions with law enforcement, that they don't have to wake up knowing that they can lose their very life in the course of just living their life. They don't have to worry about whether their sons or daughters will come home after a grocery store run, or just walking down the street, or driving their car, or playing in the park, or just sleeping at home. And this takes acknowledging and confronting head-on systemic racism and the racial disparities that exist in policing and in our criminal justice system more broadly. You know, state and local government and law enforcement needs to step up, but so does the federal government. That's why I've appointed the leadership of the Justice Department that I have, that is fully committed to restoring trust between law enforcement and the community they are sworn to serve and protect. I have complete confidence in the Attorney General, General Garland's leadership and commitment. I've also nominated two key Justice Department nominees, Vanita Gupta and Kristen Clark, who are eminently qualified, highly respected lawyers who have spent their entire careers fighting to advance racial equity and justice. Vanita and Kristen have the experience and the skill necessary to advance our administration's priorities to root out unconstitutional policing and reform our criminal justice system, and they deserve to be confirmed. We also need Congress to act. George Floyd was murdered almost a year ago. There's meaningful police reform legislation in his name. You just heard the Vice President speak of it. She helped write it. Legislation to tackle systemic misconduct in police departments, to restore trust between law enforcement and the people they're entrusted to serve and protect. But it shouldn't take a whole year to get this done. In my conversations with the Floyd family, I spoke to them again today, I assure them we're going to continue to fight for the passage of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act so I can sign it into law as quickly as possible. There's more to do. Finally, it's the work we do every day to change hearts and minds as well as laws and policies. That's the work we have to do. Only then will full justice and full equality be delivered to all Americans. And that's what I just discussed with the Floyd family. The guilty verdict does not bring back George. But through the family's pain, they're finding purpose. So George's legacy will not be just about his death, but about what we must do in his memory. I also spoke to Gianna, George's young daughter again. When I met her last year, I've said this before, at George's funeral, I told her how brave I thought she was. And I sort of knelt down to hold her hand. I said, Daddy's looking down on you. He's so proud. She said to me then, I'll never forget it, Daddy changed the world. And I told her this afternoon, Daddy did change the world. Let that be his legacy, a legacy of peace, not violence, of justice. Peaceful expression of that legacy are inevitable and appropriate. But violent protest is not. And there are those who will seek to exploit the raw emotions of the moment, agitators and extremists who have no interest in social justice, who seek to carry out violence, destroy property, fan the flames of hate and division, who do everything in their power to stop this country's march toward racial justice. We can't let them succeed. This is a time for this country to come together, to unite as Americans. There can never be any safe harbor for hate in America. I've said it many times. The battle for soul of this nation has been a constant push and pull for more than 240 years. A tug of war between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart. At our best, the American ideal wins out. So we can't leave this moment or look away thinking our work is done. We have to look at it, we've looked as we did for those 9 minutes and 29 seconds. We have to listen. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Those are George Floyd's last words. We can't let those words die with him. We have to keep hearing those words. We must not turn away. We can't turn away. We have a chance to begin to change the trajectory in this country. It's my hope and prayer that we live up to the legacy. May God bless you. May God bless George Floyd and his family. Thank you for taking the time to be here. This can be a moment of significant change. Thank you.
You've been
Watching President Biden deliver remarks after the jury reached that guilty verdict.
Pretty incredible, right? Hey, what's up, Shannon? I know what you mean, right? Not celebrating too hard, but I really think people should celebrate and should feel how good this feeling, or should know how good this feeling feels. Hey, look, shout out to Lily Rose, who's back in the house again. I had to, go live again. I wanted to really show the president's remarks. Everyone from the governor of Minnesota to the president to the vice president to there's so many people speaking on this, and it's okay to celebrate, and I think it's normal for us to have reservations, and things like that, because we're so used to being failed. Law enforcement is such a very tricky subject, Oh, yes. Isn't it kind of nuts, Lily, how the state of Georgia is now considered purple now, just based on the recent election? When I tell you people in Georgia came through for election, Georgia essentially, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, celebrities have been responding on this verdict, and I wanted to show you guys some of the responses by celebrities, including Barack Obama. Barack Obama had a statement on his Twitter feed. I mean, all of these are heavy hitters, and it's just really good to see. Check this out, y'all. So you got Meek Mill.
Right here, he's done. All right, we're gonna holler at you, fam.
Shout out to
Get your
Holler
2 rolls of
Central, by
tissue.
the way.
Man, grab your rags. Hit your peoples for your commissary. Scrape your wet. Your chucks tight. You got a nice little ride. I think some of my brothers gonna keep you up in there probably for like 16 months. So I don't think you getting no sleep no time soon either, my guy. Yeah, it's really a first-degree murder. So justice was not fully served. He killed that man intentionally.
I do want to say something just really quick. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I plugged my mic in. Meek Mill, his feelings was that justice had not been fully served, that it was really a first-degree murder, not a second-degree murder. The thing is, though, they have first-degree murder would require a premeditation aspect. So if Derek Chauvin had been premeditating the murder, that would be different, right? Than the second degree, which is why he was charged with the second degree murder. But still, irregardless, he was found guilty on all 3 counts. It's absolutely a home dunk for prosecutors. And it is absolutely okay to celebrate. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad about celebrating. How many times have you all been on the other side of that crying while we watched these police officers get away with murdering people? So it is absolutely okay to celebrate. Let these people know that we are no longer going to deal or stand with this injustice. No more. No more. It's okay to celebrate. So let's just get some more of these reactions. It's very interesting. And like I said, Barack Obama had a very lengthy statement on Twitter. And that is so true. You guys know, see, okay. You remember what I've been saying about the video. Now, I've not showed the George Floyd video on any sort of live feed since the incident happened. We showed it, right around the time when the incident occurred, but not at all recently. Because, it's just one of those videos. It's really hard to watch. It's almost detrimental to somebody's senses to watch that, because this man literally for almost 10 minutes murdered a man, with the assistance of other police officers who, by the way, shout out to my subs, whose trials will begin in August. Let's not forget about the other 3 cops that need to stand trial for the murder of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin's just the beginning. There was 4 officers total that day. Remember the Asian cop? He was the one running interference and trying to keep like this boundary between citizens and the police that day. And then you had 2 additional officers that were leaning on George Floyd's body, his back and his legs, holding him down, while this man continued to put his knee in George Floyd's neck. This man who has now been found guilty. And what kills me about this particular frame of video is the way his hand is in his pocket. To me, it comes off so smug and so just everything's wrong with that. You know, you got your knee in somebody's neck and then you put your hand in your pocket like you're doing some, you know, like it's some ordinary day for you. That is body language. The way he has his hand in his pants like that, like he is trying to display this aura around him of control. And, you know, things like that. His body language is just, it's just everything's wrong with it, man. But anyway, I just had to say that because we talked about the way his face looked earlier today. Common. Who else? We see Sierra, LL Cool J, Young Miami. We've seen Barack Obama, Chloe, Mariah Carey, Keke Palmer. Now, here's the statement by Barack Obama. Today, a jury did the right thing, but true justice requires much more. Michelle and I send our prayers to the Floyd family, and we stand with all those who are committed to guaranteeing every American the full measure of justice that George and so many others have been denied. Snoop Dogg, LeBron James, Meek Mill, everybody has had something to say in regards to this conviction of Derek Chauvin. And so Tyrese he posted on IG. Seems like this is going kind of slow, right? There's Charlemagne the God. It says normal playback speed, but it's not. Doesn't seem like it's. Who knows? The George Floyd Policing Act that was introduced by Kamala Harris. Basically, I mean, Joe Biden's like, why does it have to take a long time to pass the legislation, you know? Mike Epps, Jamie Foxx, that already 42,000 people hit like on this comment. I mean, just think about that for a minute. The whole world. Tisha Campbell, the whole world is watching this. Just looking at how many comments. Look at Michael Blackson. Don't drop the soap, motherfucker. That was the best thing you could have said. Don't drop the soap, motherfucker. Long overdue. Justice. God is good all the time. Justice. Accountability. R.I.P. George Floyd. Wow. Daughter of Martin Luther King. Kerry Washington.
And the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff. Anything further? All right. Thank you.
That's right. Put them cuffs on him. Cuff him up.
Don't drop the soap, motherfucker. Don't drop the
Cuff
soap.
him up. And don't take them cuffs off when you close that door, motherfucker.
Slim Thug. Yes, we can smoke to that. By the way, happy 420 day.
Members of the jury, I understand you have a verdict.
Let's see what they talking about. What y'all think, guilty or not guilty? They finna lock them up, or they finna just hold us again?
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear on the permanent
It's
record
crazy.
of the 4th
Just
Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict, count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter, as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony.
remember when we were talking about how he was looking at the jury? I mean,
Signed juror 4person, juror number 19.
they say that his time is going to be hell in prison from things that I'm hearing. That they're planning on not letting him get any sleep. Like, the question I sort of wonder, like, is he going to be in some sort of like protected custody? Do you guys think when he goes into prison? I don't know if they have that in the county jails.
Now they gonna get probation.
I'm sure they have to have that in the county jails too. But I wonder if he'll go into PC.
At 1:45 p.m. Jury 4person 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yeah, and $20 in a freaking counterfeit bill, you know, it's so crazy. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. He'll probably be in like PC. Yeah. But I mean, even the prisoners want a piece of him. Even if he was to come into a prison, like they're not, it's kind of, I guess, the way they treat child molesters or people that commit those sorts of acts. The prisoners don't take too kindly to that. How many people are in prison because of actions this man's taken? See, now I'm curious if every case he's ever worked is going to come under some sort of suspicion, you know, or come under investigation.
This is going to get fucked up for the day at least. 420, we can smoke to that. All right, man, shit, that is.
With the guilty verdict,
Yeah.
in the above intended manner, as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. Signed juror 4person, juror number 19. Same caption, count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter, as to count 2, third-degree murder perpetrating an eminently dangerous.
Who is this lady right here? I don't know this lady. The one in the purple shirt. I don't know who she is. I've never seen her before. Unless I just don't recognizing her. You know, I just want to make an observation about something. You know, one of the things I find really messed up is how people feel like, I mean, why should anyone feel guilty for celebrating this moment? And it's so, when you really flip it around and you really think about it, people have been denied justice for so long that it's almost like a literal physical sigh of freaking relief. And I think it's kind of sad and messed up that it's even that way, you know. Oh, Centel, when I heard the verdict was in, oh, I couldn't help it, couldn't help it. Tears definitely. I mean, oh, it's just such an emotional thing. And I just, I had to come back and, and show you guys what the president and the vice president had to say. And may I say, it's quite nice to see a return back to the presidential respect, or the respect of the presidential office, the way that Biden seems to respect the presidential chair. So different from a Trump ran White House, isn't it? So different. Yeah, I got choked up too. You got allergies, Lily Rose? Yeah, yeah. Mm-mm. Well, you guys, it's okay to celebrate. And then you shouldn't even feel guilty about that, honestly. But yeah, I mean, it's just really messed up that people are so used to not getting justice that it almost becomes like this thing that people walking past this event that's happening, and it's like Black people have never got this type of justice before, and it's like we want to hold it and not let it go. But it's okay. People have been meek for a long time. We will overcome, all those things that people have told us over the years about this thing called justice. All these things. So I'm really, really happy for George Floyd's family. So that was okay. Was that George Floyd's family? I didn't recognize the lady with the purple shirt, so I must have been sidetracked. But yeah. Mm-mm. All right, let me check these comments before I get the heck up out of here, guys. I gotta go whip up a quick meal. Hopefully you get over them allergies soon. You know how it is this time of year. But yeah, happy 420, guys. Definitely smoke some. Smoke some. He would have to petition himself to be let out of PC. Oh, he will always be in PC, aka protective custody. And that's kind of what I thought too, but you just never know. And the reason why they would do that or put him in protective custody is because of him being an officer, for one, and being in such a high profile case, for two. So yeah, I could see that. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, no. Go ahead, Centel. It's okay to say it. Folks just don't understand. As a Black man, we have to stress just to work because of the racial people on a daily basis. Man, go ahead, say what you got to say. Don't hold back. I know, right, Gloria? I know, but they're not. I highly doubt they will do that. But it's like, some of the other people that outside of the courthouse were saying after the verdict had been read. It was, I think, George Floyd's nephew that I seen giving a statement, and the way that he spoke, it was like really super eloquent too. Um, and it's crazy that in America, every day, every single day, Black men are taking chances just to go to work, just to drive to work, just to drive home from work, driving to their children's school. Like Kamala Harris said, Black men are fathers, brothers, husbands, And Black people have been treated differently in the laws of justice in America for ever since America, like ever since it became America in 1776. I mean, it's time to take what belongs to us. We want justice. And today was a really good start in that. Oh man. Hey, that's actually a pretty interesting thought there. He's going to be somebody's girlfriend before it's over. If they put him in General Pop, please video it. He's going to be such a high profile inmate. It's going to be interesting if somebody does an interview with him like 5 or 10 years from now. First question, how you like in prison? Anyway, he's facing up to 40 years in prison. He will be sentenced in 8 weeks. So they don't do their sentencing the same day that conviction happens in Minnesota. So 8 weeks, they will be sentencing him. The judge will be sentencing him, not the jury. Derek Chauvin chose the judge to issue a sentence. That is a choice some defendants will make between jury or judge. But anyway, the judge will be sentencing Derek Chauvin, and he's facing up to 40 years in prison. So Sintel, my son, is a gentle giant like George Floyd. I fear for his life every day. I know what you mean. I hope that each of you have had like serious conversations with your children, anyone who's young and who's growing up to become adults or as a young adult. Make sure you have a real serious conversation with them on how to interact with the police if, God forbid, the police try to like pull them over or try to, it's sad that we even have to have these type of conversations with our kids. Are white people having to have these kinds of conversations with their kids? If one of y'all, if anybody feels like it, I could probably go a little while, but I mean, why? It just makes me angry, honestly. It makes me really angry. So yeah, that was Derek Chauvin's family. If one of y'all know who the lady is in the purple shirt, let me know. Not sure who the lady is in the purple shirt, but yeah, this was George Floyd's family's reaction.
And joy that his brother has seen justice.
And like I said, his nephew gave a great speech today.
Signed juror 4%, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We the jury that found entitled matter of count 2. Third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty.
Come on, man. Come on.
As we have seen in these reactions, they watched along with America with that pause in between each of the charges. And now the tears as the family recognizes that jury listened to 3 weeks of testimony and found
it pisses me off.
Derek Chauvin guilty on all of the charges. In this case, I remember back in Brooklyn,
it pisses me off
gathered there almost a year
that
ago.
Black
George
people
Floyd
even have to
was moved by the crowd. I remember him saying,
feel
Black,
guilty.
White, Asian American,
That Black people would
Latino,
even dare feel guilty for
meant
celebrating this
so
verdict
much to the
today.
Floyd family
Don't
that
fucking
this,
feel guilty at all.
This was a call and a conversation being driven by families in small towns and cities across America that this
finally
was a united
a
conversation. This is Black Lives Matter Plaza.
Of some justice.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
I just get angry when I think about it. All right, guys. Well, listen, I may be back later on today. I think I'm gonna probably try to start doing like I don't typically do like panel stuff. Not really big on paneling or opening up my platform for panels and all that kind of stuff. And some people, they can't do anything without a panel. The opposite. The sentence, hey, Madam Scorpio, he's facing up to 40 years. 40 years is the max sentence. It is it is highly likely that he is, if the other convictions will be served in a concurrent manner. If the judge was to issue a consecutive sentence, that would be kind of insane, right? I mean, but I guess anything could happen. But yeah, he's facing up to 40 years in prison. So yeah, there is the George Floyd Act. It's a bill, and I think that the statement made by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris was so needed. And I really thought that the mentioning of the George Floyd Act was good too, because that's going to help people push their representatives in government to pass it. So, yeah. All right, guys. I may be back later today and I may do like an open panel or something, but don't hold me to it. Don't get mad if I don't come back. The other cops this August, they will go to trial in August. So we still have 3 more men that are going to face trial, and they will be facing their trial in August. So keep that in mind. And just in my opinion, just based off what I've seen on video, if that's any indicator of a possible verdict of guilty or innocent, I hope that they are found just as guilty as Derek Chauvin. I hope they get convicted on all counts. Honestly, it makes no sense that anyone would willingly hold someone down who's handcuffed. Let's not forget, George Floyd was handcuffed. So egregious. Okay. Yeah, Natalie, I know. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Bye, guys.